Hello and welcome to Sharp Talk. My name is Sharp Edge, and here with me today I have the one and only legendary icon, misfit, old man Tuna.
Some of that was okay. I'm alright with half of that. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Well, thanks for bringing the contraption.
Yeah.
Without that, there would be no Sharp Talk.
There would not be, right.
So, I have a few questions for you.
Okay,
more than a few.
Okay.
So,
You're just going to jump right in it.
Yeah, that's how we do it at the Sharp Talk. Everything is sharp, and it's all about the talk. So, I don't have a first question. But, today is the day after Veterans Day.
Oh, is it?
It is. Yesterday was Veterans Day.
Oh, cool.
And so...
My dad's a vet.
Your dad is a vet?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, my dad is a vet too. We have friends that are vets.
Right.
Veterans. And
I'd like to take this time to tell all the veterans out there Happy Veterans Day.
well, belated Veterans Day. But yeah, you're right.
Tuna loves you.
We do know a lot of veterans, and so what I wanted to ask you was, I guess this is where the first question comes into place, is how do you feel about our veterans? Do you really care? Do you really not care?
The people that are serving?
Right.
Or the veterans that we personally know?
Both.
Well, I mean, I guess on one hand, honestly, in all honesty, I am actually very proud of our friends. I am proud to personally know people that have chosen to enlist, and because you talk to them and you see, they use the word sacrifice a lot. That gets thrown around a lot, to the point where it was oversaturation, and you lose the sensitivity sort of gone from that word. But knowing people personally, to see how long periods of time they're taking away from people that they love and people that they would rather spend their time with, and only while defending the country, it makes me proud. I've personally seen people grow, because the people that went, people like Flake, people like Harry, they went in there. They were 20, 21, young pups, and being over there, kind of not that they need to straighten out, but you could tell that they get a different perspective. They're walking a different life than you and I over here on Easy Street. So I am very proud. I'm very happy, very proud of them. As far as anything political, I don't really have any opinions on whether or not what we are doing should we do and all that stuff. I stay out of that stuff.
And did you ever have a moment in time where you thought you would be joining the military, be a part of it? Or did you know for sure you would never, ever be a part of it?
I didn't want to join the military for the same reason I didn't play sports as a kid. I am still a very small man, but at least now I'm kind of filled out with the drinking and all that, to where I'm a good medium-sized man now. But when I was younger, when I was in school, 18, 19, I was tiny. I mean, you could break me like a twig. I didn't feel I was military material, so I never sought it out. Plus, personality, you got to remember, it takes a certain person to be able to tolerate that over there. I don't really do well with authority, and I don't particularly enjoy being whipped into shape.
And that's right. You've had many encounters with the law, and so being that said, tell us about one encounter with the law that comes to mind, where you couldn't get out of it, where naturally you usually get out of things, but this one there was no control. The authority was in control and you weren't.
I mean, the one that pops into my head is the one that happened in Houston. I mean, that got out of that. that got out of control in a way that I thought was completely pointless and useless. I emptied my drink out on the floor, and I wasn't even that messed up. It could have been. I could have been doing something a lot more deserving going to jail that night rather than just emptying a glass on the floor. But it was just so weird that the way it happened. Like they told me no, and I did it, and then they served me another drink, and then I went to go sit down and join you guys, or I think you were there. We got split up into two groups, and next thing I know, I didn't even see the cops coming in, but the cops come in. They asked me to stand up. Could you please go over here? And then next thing I know, they didn't even ask what did I do, all this and all that. They just immediately cuffed me, and that was it. My night was over. Not only was my night over, but I would not leave Houston until 4 days later, which was complete BS. But that was the first time I've ever encountered cops where I didn't get. There was no questions asked. They just took me to jail.
Okay, so, and like I said, you have had a lot of encounters with the law, and there's also been lots of incidents that's happened, while being intoxicated. Mm-hmm. So, has there been any kind of moment where that happened in your life that you decided that drinking was not ever going to be an option again?
No, not yet. Have I changed my ways a little bit? Yeah. They've been. Yeah, and then plus you get older too, so I'm hardly at places where I've always been a social drinker. I've never been the kind of guy that will go home and if there's beer in the fridge, I'll have 5 beers and then go to bed and then go to work the next day. I've always had to drink. There's always got to be someone around because whenever I drink, I just get so energized that it always just seems a waste to waste that. And I've given up the liquor. That's one thing that's just a little too hard on my system. I've been drinking since I was 16 years old, like heavy drinking since 16.
That's right. I've noticed that you haven't been drinking liquor these days. It's been nothing but the beer. You've been fully devoted to beer. Mm-hmm.
It's just beer is a lot easier on my system. I think I just feel terrible when liquor's just harder. It's harsher. You can just feel it eating away. And then the soda that goes with it that you got to mix. It just makes for a terrible morning the next day. So liquor has really been, that's a huge step for me to get rid of the liquor. Beer I'm all right with beer. I'm kind of grown fond of beer and just that taste. And it's really surprising because if you would have met me when I was 20 or 21, I was not a beer drinker. It was liquor all the way. I could never finish a beer. So the fact that I've mastered beer is just incredible.
And you've been very lucky to have to kind of, with the law, you've been able to not outrun them, but pretty much
not outsmart.
Como se dice?
not outsmart them, not outrun them. It just wasn't my time, I guess. I would always call myself the big cat because I was like the big game. There's that pride, that prize catch that's out there.
You found some way to charm them.
Yeah. Like my mama said, I could charm the skin off a snake, and I tried. Yeah, I would get out of a lot of the instances by being the amazing, charming, humble human being that I am.
And so, I mean, we all know that besides drinking, being a beer lover, mm-hmm. You also love music.
I do.
You love music,
I love my music.
You love your music.
Yes.
And so, tell us about your music. Take us in.
My music?
Yeah.
I will admit that the range is changing as I'm getting older because there's so many times, there's so much, you get tired with the music, so you branch out a little bit. I've been branching out kind of a lot lately, but okay, well, let's see.
Well, tell us about kind of what So tell us about the pre-branching, and then tell us about the branching.
Mm. Okay. Well, when I was born, disco was king. I was born in 1974. So, you're 5 years old, 6 years old, you're going into the 80s. Disco was still around. So,
so all right, disco was happening when you were born. Did you enjoy disco or you hated it?
I hated it.
You hated
disco. I hated it.
What was the alternative to disco?
The 80s came and then the new wave. Well, 80s and pop, major pop.
Did you like that instead of disco?
I didn't either. I didn't really care for that either.
Okay.
But my brother I have two brothers. Rube they actually both have amazing taste in music. Rube is 4 years older than me, and I identified closer with him. And he was more into underground alternative type of music. So he was the Erasure guy. He was Depeche Mode. He was that kind of stuff. U2. Man, he was into U2 before U2 was even a band.
They were U1.
Yes. It was just one of them. So it was, but then, and then my sister liked the big band, not the big bands, but yeah, the big bands, the big groups, whoever was popular at the time. So, of course there was Michael Jackson and stuff like that. And yeah, the thing is you get taken away from that and you become nostalgic with the music that you listened to when you were a kid. So now disco and I'm cool with 80s music and stuff like that, but I never felt that it was mine. So I'll make this real short because my music little journey hasn't been very, very long. It wasn't until the 90s, somewhere in 1990, 1991, I started to get into Eric Clapton. And I've always been a real sucker for guitar. It just spoke to me, but it's really hard to get into guitar when everything out there is heavy metal, hair bands, that kind of stuff, the closest I got to someone rocking on the guitar was Prince, but not to knock Prince. I liked Prince, actually. I liked his sound. He would sing, and then he would bust out with a little solo. I liked it. But when I got a hold of Clapton, you hear Clapton, and he, at the time, anything that he would do from my neck of the woods where it was mainstream, so you would just hear a song from a movie he did or something like that. It was real poppy. So it wasn't until VH1, man, I'll never forget this. They played 24 Nights real late one night on their channel, and I just remember watching it and just falling in love. Like, listening to that man and that guitar and those solos and those songs and his singing. I was 18 and I was asking for 24 Nights, the DVD, the VHS and the CD for Christmas from my parents. And I was like 17 years old. I used to get hazed by X and all them. They thought it was old man music. That led into blues. That led into Clapton put out an all blues album. And there was all these people that he mentioned, and so I went and looked them up. And then once I heard the blues, forget it. You couldn't. I was on that ride for probably a decade, maybe, just going deeper and deeper and just finding all these artists: John Lee Hooker, Buddy Guy, B.B. King, Freddie King, Lowell Fulsom, T-Bone Walker. Just these names and these guitars, and it's just. It was awesome. It was incredible. And then I stayed around there, and then of course R&B. I love that shit too. Sam and Dave, Aretha Franklin, all that. Just good African American music, man. And for the longest time, I was real stubborn, and that's all I would listen to. And I was really close to becoming like a blues purist, where I was really snobby about it, and I didn't want anyone to listen to it. So, eventually, the biggest branch out that I did, probably something changing it up, getting something new, was the Pink Floyd phase that I went through. Huge Pink Floyd. I fought it for so long, but it was so different. I fell in love with that. I stayed with that for a few years. It culminated with us seeing Roger Waters at Coachella. That was a great ride. That was a great journey. Then I started to get into the newer bands at the time, like the Kings of Leon and stuff like that, and the Killers and all this stuff. And then you and Kate have brought music to my attention and stuff like that. And then some of the newer acts, like Modest Mouse and people like that, like it's just real good music. Not so much pop as much as just really nice music. And so branching out, I guess, shit. I mean, checking out Dead Mouse and that kind of stuff, and it leads into the festivals, like, just checking these people out, and including that with the music ride. Like, that's a whole other category of listening to music. It's a lot of these festivals I go to, I don't know who any of these people are, and when I get in, when you place me there to see these acts, a lot of them I like. Like, yeah, this all sounds good.
For all those people who are, those music people who are just trying to make it into the music scene, or even in the music scene, they're trying to make it into the music world, how would they get someone who is a music snob like yourself, how would they get your attention?
Well, their sound, really. Like, if you hear a lot of people who, they ask who their influences are, and sometimes you just don't hear it in the music that they're making. Like, I can't see how you're a Johnny Cash fan. I can't see any influence on that.
You're talking about me?
No, I'm just saying, like, whoever says that Johnny Cash is an influence.
Right.
And then you hear their music, and I don't get it. But, just have something new, a new sound. But, like, for example, one of the things I liked about some of these newer bands today, it's really easy to listen to a lot of these newer ones because it sounds like they just want to make music as opposed to trying to make hits or trying to sell an image. So, and you got to be good. Like, have a good voice, have a good guitar. Like, have someone that can play the shit out of the guitar, or have a good voice. I'm a sucker for a voice. I've always have been. So, you just got to be. You got to stand out.
How do you feel about Bob Dylan? I mean, Bob Dylan was known to not have a good voice. However, his lyrics were massive. They were
true.
They were outreaching, and they were very inspiring, and it made sense to a lot of people. However, his voice is what was, I wouldn't say a flaw, but I mean, there was a lot of criticism towards his voice, but his lyrics kind of spoke for that.
Bob Dylan is a very, very special case in the sense that the music, the words that he was writing, it transcended his inability to sing. There was a period there where he was sounding okay, but then it was really bad. Like, it was hard to listen to. It's hard to listen to Bob Dylan. I don't get it. And people who, Bob Dylan is very special in the sense that his music, the lyrics and everything are so unique and so amazing and they're so simple but yet so elegant and so complex. It's just such a strange combination. And I think my favorite thing, I honestly like it when other people sing Bob Dylan songs because you get that powerful message delivered, but it's presented by people who are maybe a little more equipped to deliver it the way it should be, which is sung well.
And there was a time when you and I, when we lived together, what's that that term that the World Wrestling Entertainment they use whenever they get out of character? Is it
kayfabe?
Yeah. This is me probably getting out of kayfabe, but there was a time when you and I watched a Bob Dylan concert, a DVD that I bought.
You're breaking kayfabe.
I'm breaking kayfabe.
Yeah, you're
breaking kayfabe. I bought a Bob Dylan DVD at Waterloo, and we drove all the way back to our house. This is Tuna and I, and we both watched it.
Yes.
And I think I enjoyed it, but what did you say?
I said it was the worst concert I've ever seen in my life.
So it just made me like Bob Dylan a lot more watching that.
It was
God bless
unplugged.
Bob Dylan.
God bless you, Bob Dylan. We miss you. He's still alive, right? It was unplugged. It was really terrible. If you haven't seen it, go see it. It's terrible. It's terrible. But I mean, those are his. Clapton used the phrase to describe some of George Harrison's songs as evergreens, and that truly can be said about these songs are evergreens. Like they're going to be here for hundreds and hundreds of years. They are not going anywhere. They're deeply rooted and planted in people's.
And so that leads me to my I guess my next segment topic. Mm-hmm. This weekend we're going to see Jake Bugg and the Black Keys. Yeah. And you've seen the Black Keys at ACL before.
I have not.
Or you have not?
I have not.
Okay. You've never seen the Black Keys
I've never
before?
seen the Black Keys.
All right. But you and I have both seen Jake Bugg.
I've seen Jake Bugg.
All right. So, Jake Bugg, Black Keys. Let's see. Who do you favor more?
Jake Bugg.
Jake Bugg. All right. So,
it's funny because I'm actually not really excited to see the Black Keys. I was a few years ago, but I don't know. I should love the Black Keys, but there's just something about them.
Well, all right. Let's do some kind of. Let's go into surgery with this.
It's like they're bastardizing the music that they're trying.
Let's compare Jake Bugg versus the Black Keys. All right, Jake Bugg. You have Jake Bugg. You know.
First, he's cute.
All right. Yeah, he's not bad looking. So
well, let me tell you this. And you were asking this a little earlier. How does someone stand out like to get a music snob?
Right.
Like me to pay attention. His sound. Like there's a certain channel here that they kind of specialize in playing out of the norm. They don't cater to chart toppers. They're more eclectic, you know. And so a song of his, Lightning Bolt, I think is what it's called, would come on periodically. And I just remember every time I heard it, it just sounded so fresh and so unique because it sounded like a throwback to music from a long time ago. Particularly the British Invasion. Like, this song goes right up there with Yardbirds and stuff like that. Like, it just had this weird, cool throwback retro sound to it.
And there's not a lot of bands who are doing British, I guess, what was it back then? British rock?
Well,
I mean, like Sex Pistols, Ramones?
I think the Ramones were American.
Okay, the Sex Pistols, the Clash.
The Clash, yeah.
What was that? That was like pop punk.
That was yeah.
But then you had the Yardbirds.
The British Invasion was crazy because you had like people like you got to think about bands like the Association, like the Rolling Stones. Stones. All of these British. I'm not saying that the Association are British. They might be. I don't know, but it was that kind of music back then. That little era where you had these people coming from England who listened to products that we were putting out when they were growing up, and which was blues music and stuff, and it was completely ignored over here in the States. So here they were influenced by that music, bringing a sound that they honed, and they took the blues and electrified it, kind of like amped it up, and then they came over here to America and played our music for us. And because we ignored it, we thought it was the greatest thing ever. We've never heard this before. And then all these British cats were doing that. And you had a lot of bands like that. That was the norm.
The Beatles.
The Beatles were they were the spear's head. You know, you couldn't stop them. So of course when I liked what I heard with Jake Bugg, and I think I went as far as to look up that I remembered the name of the song or the lyrics or whatever, and I found out who he was, and it was a kid. Like, I think on YouTube I typed in the song, and it's just a kid, and I thought, well, okay, Like, I'm not going to let that put me off, because that could send people running the other way. And he plays guitar, and he's got a pretty unique voice. So I think he sings well. I love the way he plays guitar. He's one of those cats that it's just him and a guitar, and you can put on a whole show just by himself. So
let me ask you: do you think Jake Bugg will have? Do you think his career will just fade away? Do you think he'll continue to be successful, or do you think he'll struggle through life? I mean, how do you foreshadow Jake Bugg's career?
I think he might struggle to find the place that I think he deserves to have. He's very young, so as long as he keeps this attitude that he has, which is reaching back, and he's sort of bringing music that used to be played a long time ago, he's pulling it through time and presenting it,
making it now.
Yeah, and there's very few people that
can do that.
Yeah, it's a very rare talent that he has there. So I hope he understands that is his. That's what he brings, and he needs to remember that, you know. But it's cool too because think of Dave Matthews, and then Mumford and Sons and all that, and then these real folky kind of people that are, you know, people are nuts about, you know, and they're doing the same thing too. They're taking bluegrass and pulling it through time and bringing it to the present. He's young. I'm hoping he can only get better. Like of course, everyone goes through growth and transition and stuff like that. So maybe he's going to do something that I hope he just doesn't. His little his set, like when you watched it live and stuff like that. His set, I mean, he's got great songs. He's a good classic songwriter. Like he's writing, and he's in his age. He's really young. He's writing grown-up songs, you know. And I think what makes him stand out is he's an excellent guitar player, and he's an excellent songwriter.
Okay, so you mean you brought up a lot of great facts about Jake Bugg and a lot of. You know, you just talked a lot of good stuff about him. So, what about the Black Keys? What do you have to say about the Black Keys?
You know, like I said, I should love them, but I don't.
Okay, so tell us why you don't. Tell us why you don't like the Black Keys. They're a two-man band.
It's not that I don't like them. I think I'm just surprised that I don't like them as much as I should.
Okay.
I like them. I like them fine. They're all right. That dude does get down on that guitar. I just think that it's almost like they're exploiting the sound that they're making.
So you said Jake Bugg was pretty much bringing music from the past and bringing it as his own, making it now.
Yeah.
So what do you think Black Keys? What do you think they're doing?
They're doing the same thing, but
what's their music? What music are they grabbing from? Are you the same era that Jake Bugg is doing?
I think they're going more towards Jake Bugg is doing more like the Johnny Cash, where it's just a man strumming the guitar, maybe some Robert Johnson, because that's all Robert Johnson could do. Him, the acoustic guitar, and because it was just him and that acoustic guitar, Robert Johnson had a gift where he played the hell out of it, to the point where there's a documentary where Eric Clapton has tried to recreate the way Robert Johnson plays, and to do that successfully, it takes two men to do what Robert Johnson was able to do by himself.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the truth. And Johnny Cash is also, simple melodies, a man on a guitar. It's very, very Western, very Texan, Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash.
Stevie Ray
Vaughan, I had a real big problem with Stevie Ray Vaughan, too. But the Black Keys, they're more of the electric groove, like the, I don't know why, but I think of like Isaac Hayes, or that they've kind of got like a chunky, like Ike Turner, man, shit. If you listen to some Ike Turner, man, I gotta get down, man. They kind of specialize in that, like I said, chunky groove, and they're cool. You know what? They're cool. They're cool. I think I'm just upset that I'm just not crazy about them.
Right. Okay. So to change things up a bit, we're gonna do a random fact.
Okay.
So this is how this goes. I just got on my... The random fact is going to go through the phone, and I just got a warning on my phone that there's a freeze warning.
Oh, shit.
So be careful.
Okay.
If you're listening tonight.
If you're out there listening, there's a freeze effect right now.
But we're going to do random facts, and basically how this goes is that I search up a random fact.
Okay.
I'm going to read it.
Okay.
And then I'm going to ask you what you think about it.
Okay.
Simple, right?
Yeah, so far. I hope I don't get hurt. Hope this isn't going to require stitches. That's random facts gone wrong. Gone real wrong.
When someone gets hurt?
Yes.
Well, this is the first time that random facts has ever appeared on any podcast.
So, I like it. It's very unique.
In 1999, hackers revealed a security flaw in Hotmail, allowing to log into any Hotmail account using the password spelled E-H. So what is your password to...
I use a lot of... well, I won't say it. I mean, it's not that I'm protective, but I will say this. I use the same password, I guess, like a lot of people do. Mine is from a pro wrestler from the Nintendo.
So, you know, you're not a very... you're not very much into technology or anything, or you don't really care about it, I guess, I should say. Not into, but you don't care about it.
Yeah.
I mean, you obviously are into it because
I have gadgets.
You have gadgets, but you don't really. I mean, you have all these passwords that pretty much doors into your life.
Yeah. So
with that said, how do you feel about internet security? Do you feel safe with it, or do you feel vulnerable to hackers out there, or do you not care? I'm willing to bet it's the third option.
Yeah, I think if you spend your entire life worrying, you're gonna realize your life is over and it was all for naught. I just think that in my naivety, is that a word? My naive opinion, or I think I'm naive in the sense where I'm a small fish, you know, and these hackers would obviously after big game. As a matter of fact, someone took my identity, they'd probably be in worse shape than they are now, because they have a lot of creditors coming after them. I mean, I don't worry. I don't use my debit card, and as a matter of fact, you have to understand. I was just built a little different than most people. Certain parts were. I think I have all the parts that most people have that they're built with, but I was also given the innate ability to just not give a fuck, you know, without any really care of any consequence or under any circumstances. Do I feel safe online? No, but I still use it. Like, I'll still order something, you know, from Amazon and all this, because I think the chances of me getting hacked are very, very slim. And if I do get hacked, well, then you just, you know, you take a beating, and then you dust yourself off, and then you just come back. I've seen it affect people like my parents, you know, where their identity was stolen and fraud was brought up on them, and
they had that one call you told me about.
Yeah,
where they were something about the uncle.
Oh yeah, they were
just
just straight up lied to. They just fell.
So it happens.
It does happen, and it's random. I think it's just so random. I'll probably get an STD before I get hacked.
No comment. How do you follow up with that? Right. All right. Well, you witnessed the first session with Charbed and Tuna Shark Talk. So we will go into intermission, and then we'll start the second part of the second half. Yeah.
How could you know? How could you know? Those were my eyes.
Welcome back to the second part of Sharp Talk, and I'm here with my my best friend, my brother, my first guest, Tuna. So we were talking about great documentaries you've done, or footage, films that you've done.
Yes.
In your discography, or filmography rather, and you've done
No one watches them.
And you've done a lot of great ones. You did the WrestleMania documentary.
Yeah. Yes.
You did Sharpie's Disco Ball.
Sharpie's Disco Ball.
And
Sharpie's Disco Ball was the most technical one, I think, even more so than the WrestleMania one.
And why do you say that?
Well, a lot of little bells and whistles in the Sharpie Disco Ball one, because I knew it was going to be a music one. I wanted to, and I forced myself to learn new techniques and something to kind of make, because you can't just show a 3-minute clip of a band playing. Nobody wants to see that, especially a fan filmed band playing from the audience and then upload that to YouTube or include that into your whatever. So I kind of wanted to give each one of these little sections something that would make it pop, you know. So I forced myself to learn. Well, I learned a couple of little tricks here and there to make it kind of stand out.
So, for a lot of people who have never seen Sharpie's Disco Ball, or who will never ever see Sharpie's Disco Ball,
it is in limbo right now. Did you open this one for me?
I did.
Thank you.
So let's just say that no one will ever get to see Sharpie's Disco Ball, because I'm kind of in the negative Nancy category for that. But
this you are.
However,
just that in life in general.
However, explain to people the synopsis of Sharpie Disco Ball, or what the synopsis of Sharpie's Disco Ball.
Okay. All right. So what I started to do was carry a camera around, and I wanted to capture things that I would come across and be a part of, and just be there, and then take the footage and edit it and make it entertaining for people, not necessarily who were there, but also entertaining for people who don't even know us at all. I think that's the universal code for entertaining, whether it's art or stories or documentaries. And Travis Clark, I told him one day, I said, Travis, I really want to make documentaries. And he told me, Vinny, you already do. You make a lot of them. And they're about 15 minutes long, maybe 10, 15 minutes long. And so he kind of put it in perspective for me. Like, I actually do go out there and make documentaries on various subjects. And the one with the Sharpie's Disco Ball was, it was ACL. It was the festival that Austin puts together. Austin threw its hat into the ring of hosting huge festivals, and the whole world comes over here too. Austin's an amazing, incredible place. And there's nothing. I've learned this thanks to the guidance of Sharpie here. I've learned there's nothing like a good festival, where you just go out there and just be a part of it all and just throw yourself in the middle and just do it for multiple days. So we were going to go and we were going to do this, and cool thing about Austin, we didn't have to go anywhere. We hopped the bus and then we drive down the road. We didn't have to fly anywhere. We didn't have to drive 24 hours anywhere. It was just right here. Sharpie's cousin joined us, and I think I tried to combine Chachi and cousin in the same word. Came out Chachin.
Chakazin.
Chachin. Sharpie's Chachi. Sharpie wanted to, I don't know if he's always wanted to do this, but he was hell bent on taking a inflatable disco ball to ACL.
And this was my first time I brought a disco ball.
First time bringing a prop to a festival.
It
was a cool, man, that little disco ball that he had, it was awesome. And like the smart man that he is, you bought two. You had
three. It was three.
You bought three.
Bought three.
Because
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Because were you thinking the worst?
For all 3 days. And that's how smart I am.
Yeah. I mean, you get run through the ringer one too many times, you kind of start, you start planning for the worst. But it was a cool prop. It was actually really cool.
It made a good story.
It did.
It was filmed, but nobody will ever see it.
Possibly. There's a really good chance that there is still a good chance that they will. But the point of the synopsis is the background is ACL, and I wanted to document the 3 days that we went, and I wanted I wanted some of these musical acts to come alive. I wanted to record some of the interactions that we were having. What you do when you're waiting for a band to start or waiting for a show to go to. The shit talking you do with your friends, the people, the posse that you're with. And, the vibes. Just the vibes from being out there and all that. And I just purposely chose to focus on your disco ball as the sort of... The disco ball was kind of the main character in the thing, and we were all extra players.
And that's the interesting about that film that you did, was that it wasn't about Tuna, it wasn't about Sharpie, it wasn't about Chachi, but it was about that disco ball and its longevity throughout the festival.
Yes,
and it was portrayed very well. And however, no one will ever see it.
Well, there's a possibility. It might be out there. I might be able to record it. I destroyed the laptop and the hard drive. I have to figure out a way to get It's a technical you guys don't understand. Don't even pretend like you do.
There were a few people who did see it though. I saw it. James saw it.
I had a viewing of it at the Den.
That's right. So who all was there?
It was me, Kate, Gabe, Bitch Tits, Ali, and our friend Rolando.
So a few people have seen it.
Yeah.
But not enough.
Not the main people like Chachi or the disco ball.
So there is a star in that film that has never seen it before.
There's two. Yeah, Chachi was
Chachi and the disco ball.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so well, yeah, I mean, you've had a lot of great little films that you did, and I've seen them all, so I know about
I should have called them that, little films.
Yeah, little films. But let me ask you this. So, out of all the films you've done, what is the one thing out of all the films that you've done that really kind of is the every director out there they're known for something they do. Michael Bay, he's known for his blockbuster action
and the enormous explosions
and
enormous explosions.
Yes, enormous explosions.
No, enormous explosions.
Exactly. And you have all these. Quentin Tarantino, he does all these sequences that are out of place, out of order. All these directors, they have their style. What is your style?
Well, I don't mean for it to be, but I guess it's a guerrilla style, just because it's literally just me and a little digital camera. I like to do the little thing, the stinger, that's what I call it, the stinger. You present something really quick, like within the first minute, maybe less, 30, 45 seconds, and you present something, and it kind of goes in, it kind of sets up what you're about to see. But I end it sort of on a high note. I end it with something that kind of snaps, like that kind of clicks. And then I hit my title, and I got the little song that I use. It's kind of like those episodes of the TV shows where they start with something, and then they go into the title. And
like Friends. Friends does that.
Do they?
A lot of TV shows do that. They usually start with something and they hit their music.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah.
I just thought it worked well. I mean,
yeah.
I know it's used. I know it's used often, but I just don't think anyone uses it well.
Right, and you did have a very very raw way of showing that.
Mm-hmm.
Very raw in a good way.
Yeah.
Very. It wasn't obvious.
It was very
subtle.
Yeah, yeah. And it also prepares the audience for what you're about to watch for the next 10 minutes. Like this is so. And I guess and you have to keep in mind, these are things that are captured as I'm in the moment there. So I can't necessarily script. None of it's scripted. Like I can't plan it out. And I can't move you here and tell you to say this and all that. So I have to work with what I record. So I think that's a testament to my amazing editing abilities to take this raw footage. Like for example, do you know how difficult it is to bring a balloon to life, like to give it character, like
to make it the main character.
Right. It's very, very difficult to do.
And you did it. You did it very well. So is there any project that you did, all these films that you've done, documentaries, and any of these projects that you worked in, is there any of them that you regret doing, and why?
I will say this. The one project that I kind of regret the way that I did it is the tribute to Cyrus, who was a friend of ours, a family member of ours, a brother of ours. Brother Cyrus, who took his own life a little over a year ago, last year, Mother's Day. And since the dad knows that we make these projects, he asked if I could make something for the service, and I said yes, sure. And I got together with the family, and I got pictures of his little baby pictures and him as a little kid and stuff like that. And they gave these precious pictures to me, with the warning to guard them with my life, which of course I did. The problem was I was going around, I was trying to find the perfect song. I didn't want to bring everyone down. I wanted a song that was going to celebrate, as well as I wanted it to be appropriate.
Right.
The mom wanted The Dance by Garth Brooks, which I told this to Kate. I said, I don't believe in the afterlife or anything.
Is that an upbeat song?
It's not. It's a slow,
sad song.
Melancholy, country and western sad song. And I don't know Cyrus to be a Garth Brooks fan. And like I said, I don't believe in the afterlife or anything like that, but I imagine that if I were to somehow wind up in the same spot as Cyrus is when my life is over, I would imagine he would come up to me and be plenty pissed if I would have used a Garth Brooks song in his tribute video. I would be pissed, like if anyone used a Garth Brooks song in my tribute video. So I was taking a little longer than I should have to make this tribute, just because I couldn't come up with the right song. Because I had personal songs that I liked, but they were personal to me, and I didn't think that it would transition very well. Anyway, the bottom line is I didn't get to actually edit his. What I did is I used a slideshow, and this is kind of bad for me to admit, but I used just the slideshow maker that you get with your computer.
Right.
And I plugged in all the pictures that I wanted in there, but I didn't actually I didn't go in there place them in there one at a time and edit them just right and all that. And because I didn't do that, some of the pictures aren't perfect. Like they get out of frame. Like there's plenty of black on the left hand side. It was just because it was a little bit of a rush job, and I think I should have paid Cyrus a little more respect. I think I might be a little hard on him because it turned out to be it is a beautiful tribute. It's a beautiful slideshow. I just feel bad. What I regret is I felt like I kind of I took a shortcut to make his. But it was because I was focused on the song, because I knew that song was going to drive that slideshow, and it took me too long to make it. I didn't actually make it until the day before the service.
So what was the song?
It's by Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros, and it's called Man on Fire.
Okay.
But what I did, I took the live version of it that they're doing. They're in a carriage, and they're going down Bourbon Street or whatever in Louisiana. And it just transitions really well, and I got a lot of compliments on the chat. That's what kind of made me feel bad. I got compliments. I just felt like I worked on things I worked on things harder. This one, I can't get it out of my head that it makes me feel like I think I took a shortcut, but I think I need to realize that I did pour my heart into it. Just because I didn't put every little brick, piece by piece, on there, my heart was still in that. And it still is one of the most personal projects that I've ever done.
And I think it was very well acknowledged. I think everybody realized that, me not being at the funeral, I realized that by you just telling me.
Yeah.
So, I want to ask you, if you had the equipment and you had everything you needed to make the next project, what would the subject topic be?
What would the next one be? Just get some stories just from people. I want to go and interview. I want to interview this city, basically. I want to interview Austin. All of it. From the people who have always been here and who hate the people who are here now, to the people who just got here. Why did they get here? And that kind of stuff. It would be not necessarily a major, like a big project, but, a bunch of little ones. I want to go and just talk to Austin.
Between the people who have lived here, who just moved here, who do you think would have the most fascinating story?
The people who have lived here. Because I would imagine it's like they've probably seen and done things and probably smoked more dope in more public places than people have ever been to public places. It's like when I used to go to the gay bars in the 90s. There was a lot of shenanigans in these gay bars in the 90s, and you kids have no idea. Of course, now you can't do that. Like it's.
I will have to put my foot in this conversation because, there's two things. One is that, I'll just go to the second thing, but
I think I kind of know.
This whole thing about the 90s compared to now, they closed the gay bar down recently because the owners had machine guns.
Really?
Yeah, that was Kiss and Fly.
Really?
Yeah, they closed that bar down because they had machine guns. They closed that bar down. Now it's called Highland. It's a new gay bar. It's called Highland. And before that, it was Kiss and Fly. I think you and I may have gone to Kiss and Fly.
I remember.
But you were there even before Kiss and Fly. It was like
a disco place.
Yeah. But then you said that your brother had like a white belt on. A big, shining white belt. Bigger than any wrestling belt ever.
It's in the Hall of Fame.
So, you're saying that you all did all this, but they closed one of our gay bars because machine guns. So,
I'm not saying that the 90s were. I'm not saying that we were better back then. I'm just saying that you can't even walk into the same stall with someone now at these places. It's patrolled a lot more. They police them a lot more. Whereas back then, you were able to get away with certain things, that you just can't get away with today. And I would imagine that people that have been living in Austin have seen a lot more than that. People that were here from Austin have plenty of stories like that, like the things that they used to do that have changed so far, because there's so many outsiders. Of course, you've got to keep everyone in line. If everyone's on the same page, there's no trouble. Nobody. What's that little song? Nobody get hurt.
I don't know.
Someone's listening to this screaming it. Nobody move. Nobody get hurt. Thank you. Yeah, I heard you.
So you have a thing called Stories from the Big V.
Yeah, that's my podcast.
That's your podcast?
Yeah.
Tell us about your guests. How many guests have you had so far?
Four. No, hold on. I just said that number. Well, you have been there officially.
I was more of a kind of a side kind of person.
Okay, but
a super side. A super side secret.
That one doesn't count because
it was more Chachi and you.
But we officially need to count that. You, Chachi.
I won't count myself yet, but it'll be let's just do, all right, Chachi, you, and who else?
Well, I'm always going to be a guest on Big V. I mean, stories for the Big V. Sorry.
So
Chachi, the number one was Gentleman. The very first.
He was the first one.
Yeah, Gentleman.
And then it was Chachi.
And then it was Chachi.
And
then from there, and then it gets kind of crazy because I did it at my 40th. So it was Kate, Carrie, Murr, Kenny, James, Paulie.
Jesus. It was a combo.
It was a combo, so there's 8 people. But like,
was there anything after that?
After that was Rube. I finally got Rube.
That's right, you had Rube. But then he turned the tables around and he started interviewing you on stories from the Big V.
Yes, yeah. I'm in the...
Who's the one person that you are dying to get on stories from the Big V?
I want to interview Bret Hart.
Okay. Bret Hart. Bret the Hitman Hart. All right.
Bret
so
the Hitman Hart.
I hope my viewers know who Bret Hart is, but in case you don't know who Bret Hart is he is a multiple kind of champion. He's won championship belts in the WWE, WWF, WCW, even before those W's. So he's a very notorious wrestler. Everybody knows who Bret Hart is, and
very well respected wrestler.
Well, very well respected. He's been on The Simpsons, and he's I think there's a holiday dedicated to him, or a day, or what was that fiasco about? In Canada, the
appreciation, Bret Hart Appreciation Night. I wouldn't necessarily call it a fiasco. But yeah, it was Bret Hart Appreciation Night, and from what I recall, it went off really well.
Yeah, I mean, there's been it's been extended, or I guess kind of encouraged, or reached out to Tuna Appreciation Night.
Yes,
and Sharpie Appreciation Night,
and then there was a Chachi Appreciation Night.
Was Chachi there?
Yeah. Yes. It was unofficial, but apparently. The only way I could think of her playing Alter Bridges has to be Chachi Appreciation Night.
Okay. I don't remember being there, but...
You were, but you weren't.
Alright.
Bret Hart Appreciation Night has also inspired numerous...
Events,
yeah.
So what would you... if you had the opportunity to have Bret Hart right in front of you, and you had your show, Stories from the Big V... What would be the most important question that you would ask him?
I would ask him if he's going to fight Sting at WrestleMania 31.
Is that a legit question?
No, it's not.
What would be the question that you would ask him if you had one question and no other questions?
I would ask him. I would try to have him guess my age.
What do you think he would say?
He probably wouldn't care, so he would probably give a real short answer. He'd probably think I'm like 21. Not that I look 21, but that's like going to be the first
You think
thing.
he'd be sarcastic?
But no, it's just he wouldn't care, so he would just say, no, 21.
You think he'd be that funny?
No. Bret Hart would not be that funny. I don't have like an amazing question to ask him. I think it would just be a general respect of where he's come from, and showing him the respect that I think he deserves, and having a conversation that would reflect that. Just taking him very seriously, and also with one of the things that I've seen, and one of the best interviews I've ever seen, was this British guy interviewing Stone Cold Steve Austin, and this interviewer did his homework big time, his research, and he pulled out some unique questions, and they had a really good conversation, and also it made it enjoyable to watch. And at the end, he wanted Steve to do the beer toast with him. He's like, I forgot. It was Australian, I think. He was Australian. I got one more request. I want us to do the Stone Cold beer toast. He's like, how do we do it? And Steve's like, well, for you, he got a little cooler. Well, get yourself 2 beers. I got a beer. You got a beer. Get yourself another beer. I got another beer. They had a 4 beer. We open them. We're gonna slab them in the middle, and then we're just gonna And he's like, before we do that, though, he could say, this is the best interview I've ever had in my entire life. You know, you can imagine Steve being like the second most famous wrestler behind him.
Right.
Saying that he's telling this guy this is the best interview he's ever had. So it's a little combination of respect, research. You got to know your person. You got to know your guy.
So your little thing is called Stories from the Big V.
Yes.
And where did you get the name from? Stories from the Big V. What does that mean? What was that? What is that all about?
It's a rip-off / tribute to a band that I've always respected and been a not a huge fan, like not the number one fan of the band. It's the band.
The band.
The band I'm referring to is the band.
The band that has the song "The Wait."
Yes, The Wait. Yeah, our theme that you need to learn. Their first, I believe, their debut studio album was called Music from the Big Pink.
The Big Pink?
Pink.
Okay.
Music from the Big Pink. And I think what that was is it was a house. I could be wrong, but I think it was one of them owned a house, and they would always meet at the house.
Was this like one of the members from the Big?
Yeah, one of the
from
members.
the band.
Yeah, the band.
It was one of their houses.
It was one of their houses or something like that.
Because the band it's a band. Like you had 5 people, right?
Mm-hmm.
2 girls and 3 guys, or maybe 3 girls and 2 guys.
No, there was no girls.
There was no girls. All right.
That was what you're talking about. The Wait. That was the Staples Center. The Staple Sisters.
Okay.
Staple family.
Guest.
Yeah.
Guest singers.
Guest singers.
All right.
Well, duet. More. It was a straight-on duet.
Okay.
The band it was the Last Waltz. The band was breaking up, and they invited all these people that they've always liked and loved and respected.
That's beautiful.
Joined them. Joined them. The Staples Singers was a band that they respected, so they had them do The Wait with them. So that's where you're thinking of the girls. But they would go to this big, giant pink house and play their music and rehearse and stuff like that. And I think the house was pink. So when they put their first studio album together, I might be getting all of this wrong, by the way, but when they put that album together, a lot of the songs that they put on the album were rehearsed and practiced and played in that big pink house. So they thought that they should call the album Music from the Big Pink.
All right. Well, that takes my heart.
Does it?
It does. It really does.
Stories from the Big V.
That is very touching. So
everything should sort of have a meaning, you know.
Right. You're right. You've seen a lot of artists.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of artists. You've seen Clapton. You've seen Roger Waters.
I saw B.B. King on his birthday.
Saw B.B. King on his birthday. You've seen Gary Clark.
Gary Clark.
You've seen. Dead Mouse.
I've seen Dead Mouse. I've
Avicii.
Seen I've seen Iggy Pop.
Seen Iggy Pop.
Mm-hmm. He looks like his skin looks like a purse.
Who is somebody that you, as an artist, musician, who is somebody that you have yet to see that you want to see live, music-wise, perform live and play their music? Who you haven't seen them yet?
I woke up. Prince was playing, and I woke up during Prince, and I walked away. I thought Prince would have been on that list, but I was too tired, and so I had to walk away.
Wait, but you also ran into me that same night.
Already in the tent, asleep. Yes, this is true. I would say just if I could get like a real good session of it, probably David Bowie.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm a big fan of Coachella. I've been a big fan since 2006 when I went to my first Coachella. Saw Daft Punk.
Oh yeah, Daft Punk. That's another one.
And
I've never seen Daft Punk.
After I saw Daft Punk in 2006, that was my Coachella. That was my first Coachella, and that's where I wanted to. That's where I decided this is what I want to do. as a goal, lifelong goal, perform live there at Coachella. Whether it be electronic, guitar, or anything. I just want to be there.
Yeah.
That was a lot different back then. When I went 2006, and then you and I ended up going 2008, I believe it was 2008.
Yeah.
So much different now, because these days it's music festivals are not. They're kind of just.
They're routine.
Very routine, very mundane. They're not what they used to be.
I can see that.
And so, yeah, you had people like Daft Punk play, and to be honest, I remember, this is back when I used to follow up with Coachella a lot. Every year after that, I used to go on their message boards and see who the next headliner was going to be, because I knew the headliners were going to be big after Daft Punk. I knew after that, nothing but big headliners. So a lot of people were always on that message board, on the rumor section, saying that David Bowie was going to be next. Until that day, 2006, we're going into 2015.
We're still waiting.
We're still waiting for David Bowie to play. David Bowie has yet to play, but since 2006, people have been saying that David Bowie was going to be the headliner.
Dang, well, I'll tell you what. You know what? If it's ever announced, if it's ever official, I showed up for Roger Waters. I will be there again for David Bowie.
Yeah, and I would too. David Bowie is.
I'll do it.
You and I, we pretty much had a David Bowie night at the Shangri-La.
Oh yeah.
One of my favorite bars to listen to, a jukebox.
Yeah.
So David Bowie live would be phenomenal, and I got to see a cover band with David Bowie, and that was really great.
Yeah, it's funny because we tried to do a Queen cover band, and
it didn't work out.
It didn't work out. I
think it was a singer. It was a singer.
It was a combination of the singer and then the fact that he was doing all the songs no one knew. So there was nothing for us to get excited about. And when he did finally start playing songs that people knew, like the place would come, they were coming unglued. Like the place would go nuts. Because these are great songs. And he wasn't doing any of the good popular songs.
He was saving it for the after intermission, but we decided to go to a movie after the intermission.
But if he would have maybe chose better, like distributed them a little better, he could have convinced people like us to stay for the whole show. But because he bored us to tears that first half, he lost us. There was no recovery.
So you've been to many music festivals. You've been to ACL.
I've been to
Coachella.
And I actually did security at a festival on the outskirts of Austin. It was like
was it techno?
It was a little bit of everything. And then Lights All Night.
That's right, you went to Lights All Night. All right.
I've been to Fun Fest.
And you've been to all right. Yeah, you've marked your territory in many of these festivals.
Yeah.
So, let me ask you this. Which festival would you go back to again, between all the ones you've been to? Which one sparked your interest, should I say?
It's really easy to keep going back to ACL, because like I said, it's in the backyard.
Right.
10 years on your plate. I'm at least 5 or 6 years too, like in a row.
Right.
Which is really surprising for me, because I really shouldn't be around that. But here I am. I've got 4 or 5 bracelets in my truck, not counting the ones that Swagger got me in without a bracelet. So that's got to be 2.
Do you like ACL?
I do. I've been there enough to where I know it. Like, I'm comfortable. I was comfortable enough to be tripping balls alone and felt completely safe there, because I've been there. I feel comfortable there. It would be really cool to go back to Coachella, and just because something really big is going to bring me back to Coachella, maybe, and that's what is going to be really cool. Is that it could be Bowie, maybe. You know, maybe David Bowie is going to play, and I'll go back over there. You know, it was my first festival. You know, and you always sort of remember your first. You know, you always do. They say that about everything and anything. You do, and that has a special little place in my heart because there was this absolute moment of terror when I realized that there were no chairs anywhere, and we were going to be standing for 12 hours.
You were at Coachella. This was, what was the year?
It was 08, wasn't it?
08, okay. It was a great year. You had Prince headline. You had Roger Waters perform Dark Side of the Moon. You had Jack Johnson. You had Justice.
Fatboy
Slim. You had all these great artists, you know, during that time period, and it was a year that music wasn't really much appreciated, but by going to festivals, it became even more appreciated. Now that's lost it's lost that kind of touch. So you were there at that peak. So let me ask you this: what was your moment? What was the moment when you were at Coachella that year? What was the moment that you will never forget?
It's really easy. We woke up. Roger Waters was going to play Sunday. He was going to close out one. I don't know if he was the last act, but he was late. He was going to go on late Sunday. He might not have closed it out, but he wasn't playing until Sunday. Saturday, we stayed up all night drinking Friday. And I remember, and I don't know if this is Saturday morning or Sunday morning, but you get to camp out at Coachella. You get your own tent, you bring your little tent, you load it up with your friends, and you guys just sleep in there, and you wake up when you wake up. And I remember lying in the tent, and it was early in the morning. I think the festival hadn't started yet, and I could hear the sound check from the Roger Waters show set, and I heard them playing "Shine On You Crazy Diamond," and it was in the air, and I knew that they were doing a sound check, and I knew that we were waking up, and it might have been Sunday morning, which was going to be on that night. So I heard them doing the sound check, and I heard the guitar for "Shine On You Crazy Diamond." And man, I was tired. You know, we were there since Thursday, so Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday.
You're tired.
You're tired. You're tired. You find you got to kind of motivate yourself. But I remember waking up to that. I remember it waking me up like an alarm clock, and you could hear it sort of in the background. And you're waking up anyway, sort of. And then I remember lying there on one of the mattresses there and just staring up in the tent and hearing them play that guitar part, "Shine On You Crazy Diamond." And I remember, I swear, man, I got this smile in my face, this huge smile on my face, and then I realized Raul's foot was on my chest. His bare foot was just there. No, that's not true, but yeah, I'll never forget that, man. It was. And, you know, a lot of these things you have to realize, you know, the anticipation of it. I went to Coachella sold on the fact that Roger Waters was going to be there. And then when I showed up, I wasn't that show was incredible. It was amazing. Like, it was the visuals, the entire presentation of it. It was big time. It was big time. I mean, I was very happy to be there, to be a part of that, because it was something special. To this day, I still remember. I remember it vividly, mostly because I was sober, because I ran out of money. But it was a great show. And he stepped his shit up. You know, he stepped his game up. Those visuals were incredible. Fireworks and fire and the floating pig and the plane.
So you consider that an adventure. Do you think that you will ever have an adventure like that again?
Just specific to a festival?
Anything compared to that.
Well, I do kind of think, you know, now that I'm 40, you do kind of start wondering. You do start thinking it's kind of time to start winding this down and start, living right. So I think that the adventurous part of me is sort of kind of gonna maybe back off a little bit, and maybe kind of just. I've seen a lot. I've been through a lot. I've done a lot. I'm not saying that I'm not going to do anything anymore, but I think that if I was really open to it, I was like a conduit to adventure because I was open. I was saying yes to everything. Now I think I'm going to kind of start saying no. So with that being said, it was a great adventure, and I was really happy that I said yes. And you kind of start at some point, and this is true for life. There comes a point when you stop making memories and moments.
And you're 40 now. What do you think from 40 to 50? What do you think will be the next big thing?
That's hard to say. I think that I'm going to be a little more mindful of my age and kind of stop being so reckless. I think there is a certain maturity level that is expected of someone in their 40s. And I think that it's not conforming or anything. I just think that it's kind of sad to trying to carry yourself like you're 20 still when you're 40. I mean, there's a certain dignity you have to start carrying yourself to. So from 40 to 50, it's kind of sad to say, but I think that there's going to be there's probably going to be less highlights in my life from my 40s to my 50s.
You say that there's less highlights. However, there is going to be a highlight from 40 to 50. What do you think that highlight's going to be? What is it going to be? Is it going to be Coachella? Is it going to be ACL? Is it going to be Tuna and Sharpie Strike Back? Is it going to be Tuna's videos? What is it going to be?
Yeah, honestly, that's a good point. I think I would like this to, whatever these projects that I'm excited about and I want to work on, I want to see them grow legs and make it and get out there in the world. And I'm not looking for fame or notoriety. I just want this to be shared. The podcast is stories, stories from the Big V. I mean, everyone's got a story. I think I just want to go in the respect of collecting these stories and sharing them with the world. Big V TV, I want to just continue editing and recording stuff. Like I told Kate, I said, if I keep recording, I'm bound to capture something pretty amazing one day.
Who would you say is your main audience?
I have no idea. No.
Who do you think? I mean, just think off the top of your head. Who is your main audience?
Like, who watches it?
I mean, who are you trying to reach? Or, you probably have no idea. But
I don't have any idea.
But who do you think in your little head? Who do you think you capture?
Maybe people who share the same enthusiasm for video and editing and that kind of thing. Like,
what would you like to tell them?
Call me. Let's hang out. Let's work on something together. Let's like George Clinton, the famous George Clinton said, send something my way, I'll pee on it. I'll send it your way, you pee on it.
That's great. It's kind of nasty, but it's great.
He's from the Parliament Funk.
Have you had a good time?
It's been fun. I think I've kind of, my answers I kind of go on, but sorry if these answers aren't entertaining, but
I feel like I've really got to know you really well.
Good.
In a decade, finally.
Yeah.
So, I just want to ask a couple more questions.
Because we've never really sat around and just asked each other questions.
That's right. We're usually at music festivals or playing Diablo
or doing stuff.
or getting in trouble.
Yes, yeah. We do get in trouble a lot together, yeah.
So we do a lot of things together. We usually a bunch of criminals, and we do a lot of bad stuff. We don't follow the rules.
No.
So what is one thing that we've done together that kind of sticks out, that tickles your pickle, so to speak?
Well, we have done amazing things. One of the things that always gets overlooked, I think, is one of the most least talked about things. But we've actually arrived at a bar in a hearse.
Elaborate on that.
Well, we have this little thing that goes on in Austin, Texas, called South by Southwest, and it's known to, again, bring people from around the world over here to little old Austin, Texas. And around that time, there's companies out there that do things around year round or whatever, Halloween, and they know that people are going to need a ride from here and there and all this. So there's a haunted Austin tour that takes place, and they have a hearse where they shuttle people around and show them haunted spots around town. Well, because South by is so big and there's a lot of tourists and a lot of people need rides and everything, that company actually comes out and you can actually get a ride like a taxi cab in this hearse. There's no haunted tour or anything. They'll just take you wherever you need to go. So I don't know how, but we found the number, and we called them up, and they came and picked us up at a bar, and they drove us to another bar, and we were riding around in a hearse.
This was us?
This was us. This was you and I. We were picked up from one bar in a hearse, taken to another bar a little further down. Well, a lot further down. But we were riding around in a hearse, and I was asking the guy a million questions about the hearse. And there was a casket in the back and stuff, and it was really cool. And we got out. We got to the destination, and we got out, and we just went into the bar, and we got dropped off. We paid the tab. And
what bar was it?
I don't remember. I think we were leaving downtown to go somewhere like Congress or something. But we actually showed up. We got dropped off at a bar in a hearse, which always stood out as a little highlight because it's so understated. Like, some people will live forever, and that's like the best night they've ever had. That's really minor to us, but that, if you're asking me what tickles my pickle, that tickles my pickle because it makes me chuckle.
And we've done a lot of crazy things, Tuna and Sharpie. And that's so easy to talk about. And kind of, trying to steer away from that. I'm trying to make it more about the sharp talk. So I want to know more about what ticks in your head. You are a ticking time bomb. You're going to explode any minute. So what will make you explode? What will just make you say, I give up? What will make you throw in the towel?
Like, to lose my temper?
Right.
Man.
We've never seen that. We've never seen that from
you. You've never seen me lose my temper?
We've never seen you. I mean, we've seen you escape. We've seen you disappear.
I'm real good at that.
We've seen you done a lot of things where you're not around. You're nowhere to be seen. So, but what makes you just give up? Just, fuck this.
And you go nuts?
This is not me. Let me move on. I'm done with this. I'm done with filming. I'm done with the podcast. I'm done filming. What makes you just want to just be normal and just have the norm schedule?
9 to 5.
9 to 5, Monday through Friday.
To be a ham and egger?
Ignore the calls.
Well, I wasn't made that way to begin with, so it's going to be difficult for me to just... this is ultimately probably honestly what is going to happen with me. I'm gonna keep on doing what I do because it's fun and I can still do it. It's always good times seeing and hanging out with you, and I really do. I cherish the times that you and I have because you're one of the people, like a lot. Raul is another one, Kate is another one, Gentleman is another one, where you guys get it. You just understand that it's like, let's not. I'm not the average person. There's certain things there's a lot of things you don't have to do to make me happy. And I think you guys appreciate it. You guys give me just a little bit of what I need, and then I'll take it from there, and we'll have fun. We'll just have fun. We'll just relax. We'll just veg, or just experience the moment, the now, and the fun, and the excitement of the life, everything. So I'm gonna keep doing that. I don't think that there's gonna be anything out there that's gonna stop me. Or there's not going to be a moment where I'm going to make that conscious decision to stop. I think it's just going to gradually happen, and because I am pretty eccentric, I am a little bit different than I think anyone knows, because certain things don't apply to me, and these are common things that most people do and participate in and look forward to, and I'm not one of them. So I think ultimately what's going to end up happening is I'm going to live my life, and I'm really happy and glad that all you guys are in it. But I think there's going to come a point where I'm going to just decide that it's been a good ride, it's been fun, and I'm just going to pull the ultimate disappearing act and just vanish. I would rather just disappear forever than decide to stop and then wear white sneakers with sky blue denim jeans and tucked in polo shirt.
And you've had a lot of interesting characters throughout your lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
You've had Sharp Edge, you've had Kate the Great, you've had Carrie Bear, you have Lottie Dottie. Several characters. I mean, I can't even. It would probably take another hour just to go through them all. The madness.
A lot of nicknames too.
Which one stands out the most, and why?
Can I pick a few?
Sure.
Does it just have to be one?
Yeah.
I'll pick a few. Of course, the family.
The family consists of more than one person.
Well, the core.
That's Kate the Great, Carrie Bear,
and you.
And Sharp Edge.
Yeah.
All right.
The humble host. But I was telling you about how I'm trying to schedule interviews with these guys that I used to talk to, and I have not had a conversation with them in about 5 or 6 years. And lately, I've been friends with you guys for the past 10 years, and I can't imagine us going 6 years without talking to each other. That's just ludicrous. It's just so there's a certain connection that I have with people that I make connections with people, and it's weird. I think because I've devoted sort of my life of being alone, and that is in the sense that I don't think I'm ever going to get married, although I do want kids, but I'm going to figure that out later. But I don't think I'll ever be married, and I'm not the kind of guy that goes on dates and stuff anymore, and so it's weird, and not to take this in a weird way, but watching this documentary on George Harrison, he said that he had a love affair with his friends, so they filled a certain void. He loved his friends, and I think that's kind of where I'm at. I love my friends to the point where you guys fill us. I don't feel like I have a void, but I think if I did, you guys would feel it, and I definitely do love my friends, and I love you guys, the family, and stuff like that. So if I could just go down the list here. Carrie, unfortunately, she's in a circumstance to where she had to be taken away from everything. We kind of lost her early on because she was these vets that we were talking about earlier today. She had other obligations, and she was just inaccessible.
She's still there though.
She was, and she is, and she has welcomed us back, and we've welcomed her back. And anytime, and when we can, we always go back and reach out to her and have her around. And she's always done the same thing for us. Great things. She's hosted us over there in their house, multiple times, and she's hosting WrestleMania 31. So she
the word in the street.
That's the word on the street. I have a really interesting relationship with you and Kate because I constantly kind of battle and I try to. I don't think about it often, but every once in a while it crosses my mind. I try to figure out who my favorite person in the whole world is, and it's a really, really close race between you and Kate. And it's true because you guys get a certain piece of me that the other person doesn't get, and it's interesting because when I was in Victoria living there, it was me and her nonstop, just go go go. And then now that I'm back in Austin, and when I was in Austin, it's you and me, no nonstop, go go go. So every time I'm over here and I'm with you, I miss her, and every time I'm over there with her, I miss you. So it's really interesting. It's a very, very interesting dynamic. And it just kind of shows the relationships that you form with people and the bonds that you make. And you guys are very, very, very special to me. There's a Beach Boys song that goes, "God only knows what I'd be without you."
It's not Kokomo?
Well, that's also a Beach Boys song. Yeah, that's probably a more famous one than the one I'm talking about. Kokomo was pretty famous. That was in Cocktail.
One of the tells.
It may or may not have been plural. Someone's
one
yelling.
Of the cocks.
It was one of the cocks. Starring international superstar and Latino Grammy winner Tom Cruise.
Right.
That was Kokomo. Yeah, that was Kokomo. Of course, Paulie the Bull is very dear and special to my heart, although I sort of give him a hard time. I mean, he knows that I give him a hard time. I just get angry because I'm kind of angry. Like, I'm kind of an angry man, and I try to keep that to a minimum. But there's things that just I don't understand. I think because I don't understand, I get angry about them. And I don't like mediocrity, and I don't like people just the status quo, and it just irks me, and I just get mad, and I sometimes lash out at the wrong things. And Paulie has been on the receiving end of that more than once, and I appreciate his patience and his maturity to keep being my friend. The last person, Duper, Super Duper. I love that guy. Duper's special too. We've maintained that.
We've done Midnight Sky.
He was the latest inductee.
Here's my other show.
That's all. That's.
You can find that on Twitter and Facebook.
Just like I have
Midnight Skype.
I have big
hashtag Midnight Skype.
Why are you staring at it? I have Big V TV and Stories from the Big V.
I have Midnight Skype and Sharp Talk.
Sharp Talk, yes. But Duper's another brother. He's I love him. I love him to death.
He was my fourth guest on Midnight Skype.
He was, and he was really good. He was a very good guest.
And for those who don't know what Midnight Skype is, we've had 4 guests.
4 guests.
And I'm not saying it. It's not all me. I have my little partner in crime here, and we've done Kate the Great, John Repa, and Duper, Super Duper. We've had 4 guests.
We've had 4 guests.
So,
well, does that count with Kate's?
Yeah.
Twice. I've met amazing people. It was that group of people that came across that TV station from 04 to 08. That's kind of really all I need.
So from 40 to 50, are you keeping what you already have, or are you seeking something else?
Oh, I don't think I'm seeking anything. That's another funny personality flaw, if you will, that I have, is I never want anything. Like, I don't seek nor want. I just am, I just do. So I kind of feel, I'm happy with where I'm at. I've got a good group of friends. I got a little extended family. I got a real family that's amazing. I've got an extended family that respect and love. It's a good group of people who we've been in some kind of communication for the past 10 years. And the thing about life, is it's going to happen. Like, it's bound to happen, these ups and downs. It's like a roller coaster ride. It's going on whether you want it to or not. It's just more fun to ride along with your friends. So this group of people that I have, I like who I have in my life, and I think I'm okay with it. I'm fine with that. So that's what makes getting new people. There's a couple of people at work that have tried, and they're nice people, but I'm just not interested.
And I'm a big fan of Big V, and he's my partner in crime, and he has this thing called Stories from the Big V. It's a little thing called Stories from the Big V, and
that's my podcast.
He has a little podcast, and this is my first podcast, The Sharp Talk, with my first guest, my partner.
It's kind of intense.
So what I wanted to ask you is, tell you, whatever kind of thing. I'm anticipating on the Stories from the Big V a podcast with Sophie. I am just obsessed with Sophie. That is your mother.
My mom?
Yeah. And I love her to death as my own mother. She talks to me like I'm her own.
Yeah.
And I love her to death. She's so cool. I respect her. And I've seen some things that I shouldn't have seen. But nonetheless, I love that woman to death. She's so cool. And I am anticipating a podcast with Sophie.
Oh man.
So let me tell you. Let's just put ourselves in a podcast, you and Sophie.
Okay, is that a request? But my mom is hilarious, man. Like, it doesn't take much. She'll kind of be a guest like Chachi, where she'll just sort of run with it. She's going to be an excellent guest. And I wanted to. I ran out of time. When I was down there for my 40th birthday, I wanted to interview her and my dad really bad, and just because I knew they'd be a good interview, and I just ran out of time.
I know Sophie. She's. I've been in her kitchen. I've been in her dining room. I've been in her living room. I've been in her backyard. I've been in her
a little
den
for a second there in the bedroom.
I've been in her bedroom while she was getting it on. But I'm so jealous because I would probably never get Sophie in my Sharp Talk. But if I do, man, that would be such a, that would be great.
Never say never.
Never say never. That's true.
It would probably be via phone.
Right. No, you know what? I'd go to Victoria to go do Sharp Talk with Sophie. But yeah, I'm fascinated by Sophie. I think she's a great person. I think I very, very much do. I like her style. She's very outspoken.
Very outspoken.
She's not a bad person. She raised her kids very well. All her kids are doing very well. I mean, they all have their own place. They're safe.
And then there's me.
So, I mean, she's just a very, very great person. So.
Yeah, she was sort of disconnected from her family to the point where there was no interaction. I think she was the youngest one, and so she didn't have any interaction with her siblings. And so when she got married, and she's told me this before too, that the number one thing that she wanted to do was to make sure that her kids got along. She wanted her kids to love her and Dad, which we do, but she wanted her kids to like each other.
Right.
If there's any good in any of us, if there's any good, any type of good that was instilled. It was from my father. And
What did he have to say?
Just all of it. Just the way to act like a decent human being, to be a man, to be compassionate, to be forgiving, to just be humble and all this. And if it weren't for my dad, I would be a complete sociopath, you know.
Right.
So my dad anchors me. And I'm not all that anchored, but any anchoring that's been done, it's because of my dad. My mom, she's like, we're only on here. We're only on Earth one time, man.
Right.
So if you want it, get it. If you can afford it, buy it. If you want it, get it. If you can, do it. Don't ask anyone's permission. Maybe ask for forgiveness, but just go. Just go. Scream. Make as much noise as you can. And when the time comes, kick and scream and refuse to leave the world.
Thank you so much for being a part of Shark Talk. I've really enjoyed you listening. Thank you so much for listening. And I really appreciate my first guest, who's my best friend, my brother. He is known as Tuna, the Big V, the legend, the icon, the old man.
No one calls me the old man. And if I dare me say, I'm looking pretty good for 40. I just want to say this, man. What I did to the 30s, I'm going to do that for the 40s.
Thank you so much for being my first guest, and I am looking forward to my next guest. Whoever that might be Sophie, it might be somebody else.
Could be corporate.
Thank you. Good night.